All right, we're live. We're live, I think. Another Wednesday stream. And I forgot to put on music for myself. What's up, 223? How's it going? Glad you're here. You know, it thinks that my audio in here is for like a microphone for some reason. It's not where my microphone is, so my audio quality is terrible. So I guess maybe I won't listen to music today. Cool. Well, as people stream in here, we will kind of just chat. I don't know if I'll show it off later, but you see that? Look at that. You can't see into my basement anymore. So our work last time definitely paid off, which is cool. Hey, John, how's it going? Welcome back. You were here last week. We got some repeat people. Actually, a lot of you guys come back every week, which is pretty cool. How's the day been so far, John? All right. While I'm waiting for that, I do have one project I want to work on today. Another thing for just the shop space. And look, we can play with lighting. I've been messing around with lighting in the shop, and that's actually what today's 3D model is going to be about. It is some lighting situation or solutions for my basement. And we'll be messing around with that. Clayton, aloha from Hawaii. Everyone, please smash that like button. Clayton, you are outstanding. Thanks for this, for the support. So check this out. Some pipe, some fancy copper pipe. We're not doing any plumbing today, but we are going to use this staff of creativity to make a lighting rail that I can mount on my ceiling. And I need an adapter between this pipe. Yeah, I actually have two of them, but anyway, this pipe and the ceiling itself. Let's see here. Duck the Sam managed to make scented filament. What flavor should I make? Coffee, of course. Yeah, coffee scented filament would be fantastic if that's what you can do. John says, good so far, getting work knocked out. Modeling comes later for me though, trying to finalize some new items. That's fantastic. I know for me, my products can take anywhere from maybe a couple hours to model to multiple days in testing. Are you working on like a smaller project or a bigger one? Curtis Willie says, make a water-cooled lighting fixture. Well, good news is LED lights for my shop space, which is, again, 75 square foot, so it's small. Don't need a lot of power or a lot of cooling to fill the light up in here. I mean, it's pretty dark. That's the nice thing, right? Step number one of good lighting is make everything dark and then turn on lights where you need them. That way you don't have to fight with the sun or other bright light sources. Brooke Miner says, good afternoon. Question on the shipping. Do products sell better with free shipping? Oh, sorry, not Brooke. Broke Miner. That makes sense. Hopefully that's a Minecraft reference. Not enough diamonds. Broke Miner. My answer to you is I don't know. And I've done research on Etsy. Well, you know, the forums and stuff to see, like, do people prefer free shipping or not? Now, I did a test last December. I raised my prices by $5 to do free shipping because that's the thing that I think you got to remember is that, Meredith, how's it going? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Thing to remember is with free shipping, you have to include that in the cost of the product, right? So for me, when I was selling some lower cost items that were like 15 bucks without free shipping, that pushes it up to 20. And 20 bucks kind of seems high for that product that I was selling. And I actually had a decrease in sales. So I think it really depends on product. Now, if you're selling a product that's like $75, number one is they would automatically get free shipping potentially if you enroll because of the $35 limit. But it's much more easy to eat the customer to absorb that $5 cost or not. But anyway, I hope that answers. There's not really a good one. I would say test it with one of your listings, but do expect it might reduce sales. Yeah, Duck the Sam, coffee flavored filament. Don't eat it though, or scented. Sorry, not flavored. Mike Dixon, Michigan in the house. Same to you, Michigan all the way around. We love the mitten here. Martine, it's Wednesday night again. Nice in bed, watch a little, and then go to sleep. All right. Well, I was told once that I have a radio voice. I did not go into radio, but yeah, maybe you'll fall asleep in bed. I have to think about something now, is losing AirPods. Have you ever lost those in bed? Sometimes fall asleep and they'll like fall out, and then you're like, oh snap, where'd it go in the morning? And like, I just caught it once before I ran it through the wash, so be careful with that. That's why these headphones are actually kind of nice. It's because they loop around your head. Let's see here. John, you said bigger project overall, finalized in a few times, and then realized I wanted to add a few more tweaks. Yeah, so I'm doing a photo shoot for some new products, and I'm like, the product is good as is, but through testing, I'm like, it could be better. But I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it for now, and then maybe go back and change it down the road if I need to. But I really don't want to have to like print a whole nother thing, do another photo shoot. I don't know. I think it's good as it is. Yeah, people from all over the world here. Fanny Maid says, I've asked multiple times, and then the free shipping thing is really what customers want. Yeah. Again, I would say if you have an expensive item, free shipping, no problem. If it's a item less than $25, free shipping, not really. And I think Etsy's limit for free shipping, right, 35 bucks, is actually a pretty good jump off point. Because, yeah, I mean, if I'm buying something for less than 30 bucks, I'd probably just rather pay shipping, because there's a chance you could get it for like a $5 charge, depending on where you're at from the company that's shipping the product. All right, let's see here. Fanny Maid, don't understand the logic, rather have lower prices overall and a reasonable free shipping rate than higher prices to offer free shipping. Yeah, I would agree with you most cases. I will say though, there's a couple times where it would make sense. It's unfortunate because you can't really communicate that to the customer that well, where like, if you do like a flat $5 for shipping as like an upcharge on the product, there are going to be some customers who actually saved money and some who didn't. So, you know, it could benefit some people, but really hard to communicate that. Fishy fish. No, do not use PLA for anything you eat off of or drink out of. There are some food safe filaments, but I still would not eat off or drink out of those food safe filaments. You know, if you want to use it for like storage, like if you have rice or something, and you want to put like rice in there or you know, something like that, I don't see why like dry goods storage, like noodles. I could, you know, I've thought about making my own noodle storage containers for my house, but anyway, I would be okay with using that. Again, we use plastic so much in life. Like I feel like if people are concerned about the PLA food thing, but not actually using it to eat or off or drink off, if they're concerned about that, but then still use bottled water, I don't know. Pick your poison. Interesting, Curtis. You must be smack dab in the middle of the US, because I have some shipping that costs 10 bucks and I've got some that cost 5. Must be a Michigan thing. All right, so while we're doing this, we've got some more people in. I want to give you an update on what we modeled last week. So let me scooch this over. Right here, right? I used the bracket, and now I can vanish. You guys probably already saw my video about this, but the bracket we designed worked great. And then I just bought a shower curtain. So super fancy, a shower curtain, and it works great. It is a little see-through, so I like to keep the lights off when I don't have it shut. Or when I do have it shut, because you can still see some of the lights. But all right, let's boot up Shaper 3D and talk about today's project. I will watch for questions that come through along in this process. And let's get me over even further. So we got real estate for Shaper 3D. And is this going to work? It's going to work. There we go. Okay. Shaper 3D. That is the software I use. I know you guys have probably heard this already, but I always get questions. So we are using Shaper 3D as my software. I will say, unfortunately, it is a paid software. I will say that. I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Do not go out and just buy it because I'm using it. Do some research and try to pick a software that's best for you. Okay, let's go and talk about this project. So I have some lights that I've been using. I actually got a second light for filming my YouTube videos and also product photography. That's a pretty big one for me, was the product photography. And what I'd like to do is show you my ceiling here and talk about why I have this copper pipe and we're not going to do plumbing. Hello from Europe. We've got a lot of Europe people here. We have Italy, that's fantastic. We've got a couple people from Germany, so that's super cool. Fused Visions is in the house. You know, you've heard me talk about that, but Fused Visions is in the house. That's my partner in Germany. Great guy. Okay, so I have the camera lights, and I have to move them around my shop all the time as we're doing stuff. And actually, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna flip-flop here. Let's turn off Shaper just for a second. What I'd like to do is create a mounting system that I can basically mount this, 4 inches off this beam on my ceiling, and then I can put a camera attachment or a light attachment here and basically be able to slide my big light that is off screen here that I'm using around my shop. And I've got 2 of these, so I can do one on the far side of the shop, and I can also do one right back here, and maybe do one this direction. I'm not sure yet, but that's the nice thing, is I can be flexible and figure out how I want to do it. So we need to build an adapter. Let me pull you back down here. That I can basically affix this from the right distance off the ceiling. And it's already the correct size for the camera gear. Here's an example. So this is an example mount. I might see if I maybe can design something, or something a little bit different. But this basically slips on the end. And then you can imagine having a camera or a light attached here, and it can just go whoop, and you can move it around the shop. So kind of cool. I figured this was a relatively inexpensive solution. I know copper's not super cheap everywhere, but it wasn't super expensive. And it's also like the really thin copper you can get. So let's boot up Shaper 3D. Enough of me yapping. Again, if you have questions along the way, feel free to pop it in chat, and we'll try to answer those throughout the stream today. First step is we need to take some measurements. And by golly, I think I left my calipers upstairs. We're going to say a 1/2 inch. Actually, let's just measure it. Anybody know what a 1/2 inch to... Actually, it's not a 1/2 inch. It's 5/8. I'm glad I checked. Okay. So we're going to just do 5/8 inch to millimeters. We're looking at 15.88 millimeters. So let's go ahead and put that in here. So I'd start a new sketch. We'll do top, and we can add a circle. And everyone can't see this because I didn't turn it back on. There you go, everybody. That makes more sense probably for everyone. 15.88. So that's a bit exact. We're going to add a variable. Pipe. We'll do PD, pipe diameter. And then we'll just make this the PD. All right, I was watching my stream last week, and I was thinking about clipping some of it and putting it into the shorts. And I was gonna do some of the modeling stuff, and I realized like I was spending so long being finicky with the names of things, it was actually kind of a bear to watch. So I apologize for anyone who was watching the stream last week and me struggling through naming variables. All right, still no new questions. Oh, Gary Wallace finally catching up on the live. It's going good. How's work for you? Let's see here. Curtis Willie says, any idea how you will do Etsy reviews when you start your Patreon? Congrats on 10K, by the way. Thank you very much. I would love a review, but wasn't sure if it would be on live stream or video. I'll probably do them on the live streams because I mean, I document and keep all the live streams on the channel, so anybody can see it as as they want and go back and reference it. So I think this would be a good platform to do that on. And I think the other thing is the not a concern, but with the live streams, with the Patreon, I don't want to section the community, if that makes sense. I would like to give the people who are interested in additional resources and maybe some back behind the scenes stuff. I would like to give more of that to people, but I don't want to segment people who just can't afford it, because I think the information needs to be given to everybody for the most part. So I think doing the Etsy listing reviews and stuff on the stream will give those who are interested the access to that, which is important to me. One other thing, just as a since you kind of brought it up, with the Patreon, one of the perks that I'm going to be launching is I have this pipe above my head that you guys have all seen in the videos. I'm going to write Patreon supporters' names on the pipe. I'm sure I'll talk more about that in length, but I think it would be cool maybe to see just that thing chock full of, everybody's usernames. It would be pretty funny. I don't know what happens if I move, if I have to like cut the pipe out and bring the pipe with me. It's just sink water, but I don't know. That's a future problem I'll have to figure out. Okay, CAD with Chris. Wow, that is like the name of what we're doing here. Says digital calipers or analog calipers, what's your go-to? Mine are analog and mine are upstairs, I think. So that's why I just use a tape measure. Everything else is gonna be just guessing. But yeah, everything else is just gonna be guessing. So let's go ahead and move this out. 10 millimeters is kind of my sweet spot for strength to reducing plastic use at the moment. So I'm gonna make that 10 millimeters, and that's gonna slip over the end of this, and that's just gonna be the piece to connect. I actually don't know where I'm going with this. We're just gonna explore this through CAD together. Let me make sure we're not missing another question. Any recommendations? This is from Mohammed. Hold on, sorry, I need to bring my glasses down. The screen's like tiny. Alkenan says, well, hello, any recommendations on starting an Instagram? Greetings from the Netherlands. Oh man, I'm not super well versed on Instagram. I think the method on Instagram is probably similar to what there is on YouTube. And I think on authenticity in your content is really important. So like my Instagram account is mostly like shilling product, to be very honest. And I don't have nearly the growth. Granted, I also don't spend a lot of time there, but I don't have a ton of growth. It's a very small, I don't put a lot of time into it. Something I should probably do. But again, it's just so many things to do. And I think with Instagram, you need to bring that authenticity, not just constantly shilling product. Like you need to get on camera, you need to show a photo and describe the problem you're solving and give a reason for people to care, right? Other than, hey, this is my thing, buy it. So I think that's probably true of all social media at this point. People are pretty good at seeing through sales pitches, I suppose. All right. Let's see here. That looks good. Let's actually let me focus for like 2 minutes. All right, guys, 2 minutes, and I'm gonna get some more work done on this. So we need to have that slip in. Now I've already measured off of the ceiling. I was thinking like 4 inches is what we need. So that's gonna be a through hole. So if I go out to here, I guess I could have actually go back down to this sketch. I'm learning that if you can reduce the amount of sketches you make, that also helps. Just keep things clean. So let's go ahead and do maybe 50. I want it a bit bigger than 10. I know I said 10, but I need room for a couple screw holes or screws. Let's do 60. I like that number. And then we'll go ahead and use a rectangle. We'll do diagonal to diagonal. This is going to be 60. And then we'll make this 4 inches, but I'm in millimeters. So 4 inches to millimeters, 106. So we'll make it 100 because that's also a nice number. All right, so we've got our basic shape. Now let's go ahead and trim out some of this. That will be there. I guess we don't need that. And I guess I don't need the inner circle. So see, again, the struggles of doing this live. It's quite difficult to model and answer questions on a live stream all at the same time. But anyway, let's see here. Fanny Maid says you should leverage Instagram more to go to your own shop. Yes, I should. It is on the list of things I should be doing. The problem is, what things do I have time to do? And right now, that's just not on the back burner. Like, I think what the mistake, I guess you could say, but it's not a mistake, is my YouTube channel became its own business. And what I mean by that is, this is basically running a second business, is the YouTube channel that's separate from the 3D printing business. And I'm trying to use my YouTube channel to document the business that I started. And that's the tricky part. So it's like probably more work for myself than the average Joe would have. But I think the value's there, and that's why I do it. But yes, Instagram would be actually a really good spot to be. It's just a matter of what time do I have. All right, so we're gonna make this 40. I kind of like that. So again, I don't think everyone saw it, but we are making a attachment for this copper pipe that I can then mount this horizontally onto my ceiling, and then I can put camera gear on it and use it as a camera gear rail, whether it's a camera itself or lighting equipment. And I have 2 of these that I'll be able to mount around my shop so I can quickly move the camera without having the floor space taken up, because I have a very small floor space to walk around in, and we'll be good. So this is basically the shape that I need. Now the question I have is, how do we lock this, right? So I have some screws that we could create a locking nut on. So let's start with here. And I'm just gonna do, we can do 6 millimeters. And then I'm gonna grab both of those and we'll go in, let's see. If I go to the top view and then I pull that. The nice thing about modeling this way is you really can just guesstimate some of this stuff. So to break through, we're looking at about 21, let's say, or 22 to be safe. So if I want like 4 millimeters, we could do, let's do 19. I think that will work fine. And then we can go back to that sketch and we'll do 3 millimeters. What I'm doing is taking a M3 screw, if anybody's curious here, which I have some. I'm not going to use this really long one. I'm taking an M3 screw like this. Which side do I got to be on? And I know the dimensions of the head of the screw and the length. So we're going to go ahead and use that. That way when I slip the pipe in, I can just tighten that down and create like a lock on it. That should be good. Okay, what's the next question? Kaz says, if you enter the dimension in inches and add a quote after it, it should accept it. No way. Really? Hold on a second, everybody. We're gonna try this out. Just let me punch this hole through here. I can just do that. Let's go back to a sketch here. So I can just do like, add a quote. No. Is that right? Hold on. So if I go here and I type in 4 apostrophe, right? Because that's what 4 inches would be. Doing that, it puts it at like 1,000. So we're like probably like 100 times wrong or 10 times wrong on that. If I'm missing something, that'd be really nice. Let's see here. Next question. Undersize the hole and freeze the pipe to shrink it. Yeah, I want this to be easy to take off and move around if I need to. My shop is very fluid in the way I use it, so I need to do that. John says, try 1 inch. All right, we'll try 1 inch. We'll do 1 inch. 304.8 millimeters. That's not right. Oh, double quote? Oh, you're right. See, this is why we don't do things live, everybody. Yeah, sorry, I used the wrong thing. Quotes, not apostrophes. Geez Louise, you know, I've literally tried this on here before and I thought I knew that. See, I should do these live streams more often like this because you guys are gonna make me better at my modeling. So cool, thank you everybody. That's actually gonna save me a lot of time. Okay, so I want it to be a slip fit. I want it to go all the way through. So actually, that being said, let's just change this to 16. So it is a slip fit. Let's go ahead and add some screw holes. Now, the way I'm gonna mount it, I was thinking about doing it like on the joist. So we've got 1.5 inches. So actually this extrusion right here, let's see if we can do it again. 1.5 inches. Invalid expression, get out of here. That's exactly what I was doing. Okay, so you can do it in the sketch, but you can't do it on the history part. So that's good to see. Yeah, and Farticle, I just want to point that out. Yes, I put in 4 feet. You live and learn, I guess. Let me figure this out, because now I have to go back and do my trick. So we're looking at 38.1. So I was pretty close. We'll just do 38 because 38.1 is nonsensical. What's the next question here? Mr. Benchy says, how would you add weight to a printed PLA product? I would add more plastic. That would be my solution. With my design and how I model and design products, they should, for the most part, other than maybe needing some hardware, come off of the printer done. That saves me a lot of time, a lot of headaches. I have seen videos, where people will like pour really liquidy concrete into their parts or add like metal bearings, but honestly, that's either creates a lot of mess or like a lot of hassle. So for me, I would just add extra material in there. Even like 50% or 70% infill, if you're looking for weight, really does add a lot of weight. And it feels nice. It feels like a, really, I don't know how to say it, really professional product, I suppose. I think they all kind of do, even with the lighter weights, but it just has a different feeling. For article, this is Shaper 3D. Shaper 3D. Gary Wallace, if you make it in two-piece design, you can make it like a shaft collar, be able to take it off and on without sliding off. Oh, yep. I could do that. I should do that. Okay. We're gonna do that. Thank you, Gary Wallace. That's gonna help a lot. So let's go back, and this is what we're talking about. So let's go to here. We'll go up 38 inches. And instead of putting the side hole here, we're gonna act as if this is two independent sections. And we can make it a collar, like he was just talking about. So let's go to add construction plane. We'll do it off of here next, and then we'll just bloop, go to here. Hope you like the sound effects. I actually didn't mean to make that sound effect, I just did. All right. Now what we're gonna do is use this as a way to reference. We'll do 60 by 38, reference our holes. So let's go ahead and do, what do we have in the center there? Center, line it up. We had a hole that is 16. All right, so that just pretend that that's our hole going through the center, and this will be 38. Now, just want to have two holes that go through the piece here. So we're going to do kind of the same thing, right? So we'll do 6 millimeters. And I'll actually show another trick here once I'm done with this. And then we'll add another circle and we'll do the 3 millimeters. So actually, thinking about this, there's one more concern, which I guess I can use. I have some of these. Again, another little tiny part, but I have some threaded inserts. I don't know if you guys can see that. Some little brass threaded inserts. This design that we're going with now essentially needs these threaded inserts because I don't trust, screwing and unscrewing out of plastic a lot. I have a few products that I use M3 screws to hold components together, but those components are not designed to come back apart. It's really just an ease of putting the part together or the product. But if you were to take them in and out all the time, it would basically just become a hole and there'd be no threading there at all. All right, let me answer a couple questions here. Chuanza says, have you ever created a design that needs to be joined together? If so, what type of joint technique do you use, like dovetails, Lego style interlocking joints, or something else? Actually, so I was basically just talking about that, but let me give you an example. I'm looking around because I want to see if I have any of the parts out that I could showcase. I don't think I do. Oh, I do, right here. All right, so I have this piece right here. It needs this, which, holy cow, you can't see it. It needs this, which is like a little plate that raises it off the ground, so that way when it's sitting flat on a surface, it doesn't rock, because the same reason why, like, one of the reasons why like mugs, the bottom of them have a ring, is because if the full flat surface is in contact, even the smallest little like piece of dirt can make it rock. So it's not the only reason why they do that, but one of the reasons why. So for this product, I'm actually just using butt joints. I'm just taking a flat piece and a flat piece, and then I'm taking 2 of those screws and mounting them together. And I'll tell you what, it works fantastic. Now, I would not trust this for strength pulling apart, but it works really good because it's just its own weight that's set on it. It's not going to come undone. For other pieces, I use dovetails. I have a coat hook that, again, I don't have any ones ready to go because the ones I've made I've shipped to as a product. Dovetail is super strong. I have a coat hook that I made that uses 2 screws that get mounted to somebody's wall. And I have literally tied 50 pounds worth of dumbbells to the coat hook and hung it up in my basement, and it didn't break. The dovetail is super strong. And that was, again, just using PLA, super strong material. I think it's a little underrated personally, but nonetheless. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extrude this. This first hole is going to be the actual screw piece. So if this is 60, we're looking at 30 in, and then let's go 40. That's going to give us 10. Well, I've actually got to think about this a little bit. Let's go 50 millimeters. A little extra is not going to hurt anything. And then we're going to do new body, and I'll show you why here in a second. And then we're going to grab the outside here. And we're going to go, again, to center. We're looking at 30. I feel like I'm missing something here. It's not, oh, it's because I have it offset. Probably should have had it right on the plane. Oops. Plane offset, negative 30. Now we do. All right. So this, again, be 30. But we need it to be less, so let's go 35. Oh, sorry, 25. And this is also going to be a new body. Or we could probably do union. Okay, so we've got our 2 pieces. Now, if I grab this body, which you can see here, or both of these bodies, this one and, oops, did it wrong again. We'll do new body. Okay, we grab those 2, then we can use the mirror function and mirror it over this center line, which is right here. If I can grab it, I guess I'm gonna have to put it on the sketch. That's fine as well. We'll do mirror and then over the center line, and there we go. And now I can just grab these 4 bodies and do subtract. And then I'll be able to answer a couple more questions again. So we'll do minus, that needs to be a minus as well. Needs to be a minus. Grab that, minus, and then you need to be a plus. Okay. Now we've got our holes and the other piece, so that's cool. All right, let's see what question there here. Gary says, threaded inserts would work, but you could make it a pocket for an M3 nut. Yes, I could do that. I do have some M3 nuts, but I also have threaded inserts. So I'm going to try the threaded inserts because they seem a little easier than doing the pocket at the moment, and we'll go for that. Broden Cernet says, do you think it's worth trying to sell on Etsy in Europe? My answer is yes. Now, I got lucky because of the partnership I have with Fuse Visions, because there's some extra steps in Europe that you have to follow around packaging. I don't have to worry about that per se. For most of my products that are not part of the partnership, I don't ship in Europe. It honestly might be easier to ship to other parts of the world, like India or Japan or some of those others. I just know the EU has a lot of really strict laws that you just got to keep an eye out for, and that was added only like 3 months ago or something. It's like the GPR or something, but it says it in there when you're doing the shipping profile. I think it's under the shipping profile on Etsy with details about like, do you have the license or whatever for that. So I think that in itself would make me stop and maybe question if you should sell in Europe or not is if you can pass that or not. I don't know. Is it worth the risk? Maybe. Let's see here. Another one is, article says, with Etsy's policy update, what do you think would be sufficient proof that you are the original creator? I mean, I think just the fact that you made a product and listed on Etsy, I think that's almost sufficient proof, right? Like, it's going to take quite a bit of time and effort for Etsy to like validate that the thing you made and is your design was taken from Maker World or something like that. I think they're more so going after listings where there's like 100 duplicate listings and it's clearly the same product. Also, you know, per terms of service on Etsy, if you bought the license, or sorry, not per terms of service on Etsy, per terms of service on the licensing, the people licensing their designs. If you sell their product, you have to, from my understanding, list that you're selling their stuff. So I think the big one was like Cinder Wigs, right? You have to list that you are making and selling a licensed Cinder Wigs model. And that specifically would be right in the text. You know, Etsy could just pull a report that says, tell me all the listings that have this in the description. So I think that would be not too bad. And then this is on the same line, but Donahoe, you said Etsy can't validate even duplicate listings unless they have the same photos. I would really caution people to say that they can't, because I think what we need to be aware of is that with image recognition technology and AI, right, it's going to be a lot easier to figure out, or at least compile a list of potential listings that are a problem or going against that policy. Because all they have to do is use some image detection software and plug that in with AI and say, here's all of our stores, digest this data and compile a list of stores that appear to have the identical product. So I think it's going to be easier for Etsy to do it than people are making it out to be, because the tools exist. It's just whether they implement them. And also, don't underestimate a corporate company's use of a tool like AI and stuff. All of them are like going ham on that type of technology. So yeah. And Donahoe, Etsy can't validate who created a design. Yeah, I guess they're not the ones like to validate, but I think for the most part, like, you know, if you made a design, it's going to be a lot of effort for someone to steal that, if that makes sense, like copy it exactly. Because even if they do model your project, it's probably going to be a little bit different. And obviously the photos will be different. So I think really what Etsy's trying to do is not snuff out competition. They're trying to snuff out identical products, right? Because in a free market, you want competition. You want people to be building products that solve the same solution, because that's good for the customers and it creates a marketplace that customers can shop around on. But what's happened is you have basically competition, but the competition is through literally identical products. And when that happens, the only thing you can do to stand out is be a race to the bottom on price. So it's not an ideal way to have a free marketplace with just the same product over and over and over and over. And it's also against kind of like what they used to be, right? Handmade, unique products. So again, looking for competition with different ideas rather than competition with the exact same product. Mr. Benshi, love the videos. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I hope this helps. I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to give you guys all the info that and struggles that I go through, so you can, you know, take it and apply it to your own businesses. Ollie JT, Etsy actually wants to enforce this. It won't be hard. Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Yeah, and I don't think they'll get all the listings either, right? There'll be people who still sell licensed products, but there's so much that is identical, and I think it's also going to be a setup to go after drop shippers as well on the platform, because, you know, outside of the 3D printing community, right? So this is not me saying anything about using licensed products. People who are just buying stuff off of Temu and those platforms and then just putting them on Etsy and reselling them, like that's not what Etsy's for. And that's not what Etsy wants to be. So I think this will help them address that. Okay, let me go back to some of the modeling. We've answered some of those questions. So I've got the holes in there, and you can see that, which looks cool. Now we're going to want to make the collar piece. Now, I don't want the collar to be perfectly flat because I want to make sure that it can set. Oh, and sorry, I think I missed a question here. Dustin says, I do Europe orders too with no extra special packaging. Okay, so maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, which would not be unheard of. We're going to go in 5 millimeters, and then let's go over 5, go down 5. What I want to do is create like a way to, let's go, sorry everybody. It's literally me thinking and trying to do this at the same time. We're going to do that. We're going to go up 5 because I want to be able to put the collar on and have it like nest into place so I don't have to fiddle around with it, because I'm going to be holding a pipe, putting a collar on, grabbing my drill. So there's going to be some steps here, so I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to do so. And we can do that. That looks great. And now we can grab this, we can pull it down, and it looks like I'm ruining all my work, right? But once we get here, if I go to this, go to new body, we'll save that. And then we're going to grab the new body, grab the other one, and then do intersect. And we can keep originals. Done. And then we're going to grab the body, and then we're going to do, let's see, which one do we got here? So we've got one of the collars. It doesn't have, oh, that's not the collar. That's just the, there we go. So here's one of the collars. Pretty cool. And then we can do this body and our main one and do subtract. Right. Always takes me a second. That's the plus, and minus, please. I'm pressing the wrong thing here. Grab this one, grab this one. I want you to be plus, I want you to be minus. Thank you. Look at that. We have a collar. I think we did it. I think we did it after much frustration and toil. Cool. So now we should have, right, if we go to our other body, we have a collar. We have a way to put the pipe in, we can put the collar on, and then we can use the 2 screws to mount it. Now, something to think about is I actually might need 4 screws. Looking at it now, it might make sense to do 4 screws, but that would be pretty cool if we could just get away with 2. So what I'll do is I'll do a test with this to see if that's enough. All right, next question here, and I'm literally just letting my coffee get cold. All right, so please don't take this from me, but I came up with a saying, and it's such a dad joke, but I love it, and it is, if coffee's so good, why is it always trying to be warm? If coffee's so good, why is it always trying to be warm? Because honestly, you like iced coffee or hot coffee? Sorry, that's my dad moment of the day. Questions here. I build things. If you live in Europe, it is worth it to have a presence in America, not through direct delivery, but through a service like Sorry. If you live in Europe, is it worth to have a presence in America? So like selling your products here in the US, not through direct delivery, but through a service like Slant 3D, what are the disadvantages? I can't speak to Slant 3D. I know there's been some videos floating around about them. But I will be honest, a lot of the stuff that, like how to design for manufacturability is something I watch their channel for. They have some good stuff on that. But what I would say is the reason I did not go that route, because, you know, again, I make products, but then I also manufacture them. So why would I go through all the process of doing the extra manufacturing work and stuff when I could just have someone else do it? And it is the fact that maybe it's because I don't trust people, but that's probably not it. It's because I don't get that last touch. I think more importantly than just having a product, right, is the entire experience of doing the packaging, writing a thank you note. So like I write thank you for your support and then, you know, a little smiley face and my name on there. I write that out on every order. I just realized yesterday, I was like, I've done this to like 500 plus orders over the past year, which is crazy to think about. But, you know, it's that final touch, right? You know what the products look like. You can maintain quality standards. You can do the packaging. You can do the handwritten notes. Those are things that a fulfillment center is just not going to do for you. And then on top of that, I think the last thing to think about is we need, and when I say we, what I'm encouraging everybody here to do is there are a couple ways to think about going into business. You can go into business with the mindset of, I want to be on Shark Tank one day, with that mindset of how can I scale? How can I get to mass market? How can I get into box stores or on QVC or just a massive direct sales push with a website, which is going to require tons of ad dollars and investors and all that stuff. But the first part of that is building a good product and probably protecting it with a patent. So that's business model number one. What I would encourage you to do is think about business models that would support you and your family and give you more than enough means to live the life that you want to with freedom. And that model does not require somebody else to do the work. So like just do the math, right? Like the average income in the United States, household income is like $60,000 or something, right? Let's do $65,000. Now, it's not going to get you like a super cushy life, especially if you live in places like New York or LA or any of that stuff. But some other places where they're more affordable, that is, you know, comfortable. It's going to be a comfortable, you'll be okay as long as inflation doesn't keep going up. So 65K. Now let's figure out how many orders you actually need to sell. If you divide that by 12 for the amount of months, you need to make like $5,500 a month to be able to be okay. And if you want to figure out how much you need to make on orders, let's pretend that you design products that give you 20 bucks per order. You're looking at 270 orders a month. If you divide that by sales per day, if you sell products that net you personally $20 per part or per sale, you would need 9 to 10 orders a day to be able to make a $65,000 a year income. That to me is sustainability. That to me is freedom. And that's on the low end, right? I think 9 to 10 orders from a managing that amount of 3D printers and the work involved in that, super, super durable or doable. I mean, you could basically just get 10 printers over time and then just, print overnight and you're all set, pack in the morning, bring it to the post office, print overnight, and rinse and repeat. So if you think about business that way, and I think that's what I'm trying to show everybody, is that there's different ways to build a business, and you don't need to try to go to the moon with everything you sell. Anyway, that's me ranting, but I hope it gives some pause for thought on that. Curtis says, don't mean to keep beating this every week, but any new progress on Amazon? No, there's not any new progress on Amazon. Their back end is frustrating. I applied for Amazon Handmade, which is separate from the Amazon other thing, and I didn't get approved yet. It's still pending. And also the other part is I wanted to get like my tool related stuff up on Amazon, but the struggle with that is I have to like redo some of the packaging because they don't allow you to say the brand name. So like you could say charger brackets, wall mount charger brackets for DeWalt DCB 115 chargers. But right now that's not what the packaging says, and you got to show the whole thing. So it's actually a lot more work for me to get those products on Amazon than some of the other activities that could make me money sooner through product sales. So I've been focusing on the stuff that's like, what can get me and move the needle first, the fastest, and then that's still on the list, but no, I haven't made any progress. I definitely need to do that. All right, back to modeling here. Let's go ahead and get the screw holes in. Now we're gonna need to mount this somehow. So I think the way to do that is going to be by putting in a screw. We're just gonna use drywall screws. I use those for literally everything. I know they're maybe not the best use case, but they work for me here. And we're just gonna do a diagonal drywall screw in here. I think someone mentioned pocket screws earlier, and that's exactly what I was thinking. It's doing some form of pocket screw. So I'm trying to figure out the best way. We'll do add construction plane, drop it here, and then we'll go down. We went up by 38, right? So that's going to leave us with 15, 17. 17 is half. Cool. This might not be the right way to do it, but I want to test it out. So let's go ahead and just drop a line here. That's going to be our center line. We'll make it a construction so we don't forget that. And then we can go over maybe 15, and then I'll drop a piece here. Now this needs to be, let's say 25 degrees for kind of the pocket to be able to get the screws in. And then we just need to do the shape that we want. Now the actual hole needs 4 millimeters. So if we go 2 millimeters and 2 millimeters, and then we bring this up by, I think we could do 10 again, right? That's kind of been my safe number that I've been using. Go up here, go out. We actually only have to do half of this. So what am I doing? Only need to do half of it. Here's why. We're going to do 15. I lied. I did not lie, actually. I was just wrong. And then we're going to do 3 out here. And then all the way down. Just like that. And then this will extend it a little bit too. This is a little messy, to be really honest with you. There's probably a better way to do this. But now what I can do is take this shape and I can do rotate again around the side. And we've got our shape. And we can do this. We can do mirror, right? Like we just talked about earlier. And then we can grab both of those bodies and this one and do subtract and plus. Oops, we want that to be a minus. Minus, minus. Boom. Let's turn off these sketches. Look at that. We got a part. Now we just need to make it pretty, put some chamfers on there, and we'll look good. All right, next questions. Jonas, what am I designing? I'm designing a bracket to hang this pipe off of my ceiling so I can use some camera hardware equipment for lighting and video, and then be able to have a ceiling mounted rail to move my stuff around, which will be kind of cool. So that's what we're working on. And that's rolling at me. Mike says, that's one of the big things that people violate all the time. They list their product as XXX mounting feet instead of mounting 4, technically a trademark violation. Yeah, yes, and that's really good to know. And at least Amazon tells you that very clearly, kind of when you're setting it up. Christopher says, when starting an Etsy store, how many products should you start with? I believe Etsy recommends 5. So, I mean, if Etsy recommends something and you're selling on their platform, I would recommend doing it. There's a reason they're telling you to. But when I first started, I listed 1. So again, I think it really more depends on what the product is and if it's a quality product or not. And that should be your first focus. And then as you go about designing and getting better at design, you can add extra stuff down the road. But 5, if you have the ability to put 5 up there, that'd be really good. And if you're able to do 5 listings that are also complementary products to each other, that's also even better, because now customers are going to be shopping and they might see your one listing, want to buy that, and then add something else to their cart so you get a bigger order total. So think about those things. What they call that is the peanut butter and jelly method. I don't know if that's the official term, but that's what I call it. Cool. Mountain Printing Solution, what do you do for coming up with ideas to model if you can't come up with good ideas in the moment? That's a great question and is going to be somewhat of the topic of this weekend's video, but it is that I find things that really bother me and I make those things. So like if every day I wake up and I run into a problem and notice that it's like super annoying to me, That's usually when I stop and go, wait a second, this really bothers me. I think I can use 3D printing as a solution to fix it. And then I ask, is it something that I would just use, or is this something that other people could buy? Now, this product that we're designing today, probably not something that other people are going to buy, because it's not in a product by itself, right? Like you would need to buy a copper pipe that's 5/8 inch to be able to make use of this. And I don't think that's necessarily useful. Now the STL file might be useful for maybe, so maybe I could sell this STL file. But yeah, look for things that bother you. Because if it bothers you and you have a solution, I'm sure it bothers other people. RP Studio says, hi, I got a question about 3D modeling software you are using. Is it better than Fusion 360? And my answer to that is maybe. It's better for me because it runs well on my computer. Fusion 360 does not run well on my computer. And the last thing I'd say is Fusion 360 is a very bloated software for what I need. But if you need a lot of extra features, Fusion 360 is better. The one thing I really miss is threading. This does not have built-in tools for standardized threads, which would be super helpful. So I actually have to make custom threads. So maybe I'll show that next week in my live stream. Kaz says, bad idea is better than no idea. Just create something. Absolutely. Kaz is speaking truth down there. Wild Muffin says, you ever get a potential product ideas from people you know, like a solution for a problem they have? Absolutely. Once people find out that you 3D model and that you design things and sell things online, you'll be very surprised who comes out of the woodwork, and it's a very good thing, saying, hey, can you make this or can you make that? Yeah, so there's never really a lack of ideas. It's more of, you know, you'll find there's a threshold at which you'll have too many ideas. You got to pick which ones to work with rather than coming up with ideas. And that's like a wave, right? So you'll have a lot of ideas sometimes, and then you'll go through them, and you'll be back to going, I don't know what to do, but that's just part of the process, part of the fun, honestly. So that's cool. Adrian Hardcastle says, they try and get 5 to, wow, hold on a second, people. Let me get a sip of coffee here. Adrian says, they say try and get 5 to 10 items on Etsy so your shop looks busy and you can take advantage of the first month. Boost new shops, but starting myself. So yeah, 100% on that. That 100%. Garage Toy says, I made a mount that would clip onto a wooden window blinds that would hold Xmas lights that would suction to the window because of the cold. That's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. And if you sold that in like a pack of 5 or sold the STL, that'd be cool. Yes. And then Mike, you're speaking truth again in there. I think the biggest thing to know, which is not always what people want to hear, but the best thing you can do is just start. Mike is 100% right. A lot of this is just experimentation. Like, you saw how much of a struggle, like I didn't even know you could put inches in here, or I did, I guess I was just doing it wrong, in replace of millimeters. But like, it's the act of doing that gives you the learning, right? And it's the learning that allows you to apply it back to what you're doing. And that's the loop. And without the doing, there is no learning. So just start doing stuff and just start testing around. Again, before I sold anything on Etsy, I was 3D modeling and printing things for myself at home for a year. So it's not like you really need to spend a ton of time doing it. Not a ton of time. Okay, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. I'm going to actually change this back to 16. This is going to be my product for now. I will let everybody know how it turns out. I'm sure maybe I'll do a short video or something, or the weekend video is going to be a little bit different in format even from my normal videos. I'm going to try to do like more of a, I don't know, cinematic type video, kind of like the short I put out just yesterday, I believe. And I need to like have a product already designed that then I can document how I designed it. So this might be what you see in that video. I don't know yet, but I think it's, I kind of like the way it turned out. The other thing I could do here is make it hollow, right? But I don't think that's necessary, but I could make it hollow. It might look cool. Hold on a second. I know we're basically done with the stream here, but now I just need to test this out. It's a triangle. Can I make? Let's go down here. We'll go to 22. And see, again, this is like what I'm talking about, experimenting a little bit. 22, oops. Because I'm just kind of messing around, just testing stuff out, seeing what I like. And I guess I put it on the bottom, so that's fine. We'll punch it up through, and then, see, that's good to know. Basically hit the edge of the holes there that come through. I'm going to grab these. Got it. And we'll do fillet and do something like that. I don't know. I'll experiment with that later. I think it looks kind of cool. Once you get the functional piece, then you can add some bells and whistles to it. Let me see if there's any last questions, and then we're going to wrap it up here for the day. I build things. I made a fidget spinner and made over 1,400 from MakerWorld. Could have made more if I sold the digital products separately. Wow, that's great. That's great news. Marcy, the name of the software is Shaper 3D. Just a heads up, it is a paid software. That's the downside. All right, I think we've answered all the questions. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in to today's video. 3D printing shorts, Bamboo H2D. I'm on the fence about it. I don't need the laser stuff. I just need a bigger printer potentially. I don't need it now, but that would be nice. So, jump in the live stream next week, 3 p.m. and ask that question later, and I'll give you some extra thoughts on it. But thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I will be putting out a video this weekend in shorts with just kind of business updates along the way. But I always appreciate you being here. It's just been overwhelming and awesome to see the amount of community and support that's been built here. I hope everybody has success in their businesses and have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll talk soon. See you, everyone.